And right here is the poster for Saving Private Ryan. Got right by my laptop where I do my writing. And a copy of the Declaration of Independence. So, yeah, with all the major stars. Tom Hanks, Matt Damon, Tom Sizemore, Edward Burns, Barry Pepper, and many more. But, yeah, also got it near frickin' Goodfellas and Taxi Driver. And soon to be 3 more posters on the blank wall right next to Taxi Driver. Hello, all my subscribers. If you follow me on social media, you know I just got a Saving Private Ryan poster and inspired me to watch the movie, and got to watch it on my big TV, so closest thing I could get to recreating the theater experience. And thought I'd up my style game for this review, so I'm wearing this familiar shirt from other dance videos, and now in a non-dance video wearing this jacket. So I guess without further ado, let's get into definitely up there among one of my favorite Steven Spielberg movies, and overall my favorite war movie, and definitely up there among my favorite overall movies, Saving Private Ryan. So this is the movie that is about the Battle of D-Day and a particular mission that, though the story in this movie is fictional, it is based on a real-life mission on the Sole Sun policy that the U.S. military either did follow or doesn't anymore. I've heard conflicting sources, so I'm not going to say for sure, because some say they still do it, others say they don't, so I don't know. But yeah, has an ensemble cast of Tom Hanks, Matt Damon, Tom Sizemore, Barry Pepper, and also some cameo appearances by Vin Diesel, Paul Giamatti, and Ted Danson. You blink and you'll miss it though, but they're in it, but it's awesome nonetheless. And they're all different roles in this particular squad who are sent on the mission to find Private Ryan, as the title says, who is played by Matt Damon. There have already been plenty of reviews on this, so I'm going to sum up my thoughts as best I can. I guess this is a review and analysis, so it's both, so I'm just going to sum it up as best I can. But yeah, overall, definitely solid film. I don't agree with the criticism that the movie dies out after the opening battle scene, which unto itself is just great. The opening D-Day scene just shows war for what it is, hell on earth, and definitely don't agree when some say that this movie glorifies war and that it's not anti-war, it's pro-war. Do not get that at all. Especially with what you see in the opening battle scene and just the gruesomeness, whether it's from the effects, seeing the bloodied up soldiers, to just the overall carnage of the sieging of Normandy Beach in France. And also, definitely, I'm kind of mixed on his movies anyway, but Oliver Stone tried to say that this movie was one of those movies that promoted some future willingness to go to other wars, which I don't see. I think he's reaching, but it is what it is. He is a bit controversial. This is coming from the same guy who directed JFK, a movie I'll probably never review, but maybe one day, who knows, we'll see, where he rewrote history on conspiracy theories about the JFK assassination. That tangent aside, though, the cast is also great, whether it's Tom Hanks as Captain John Miller, Barry Pepper as the sniper, and just about everyone else, and all given equal screen time. Oh, Giovanni Ribisky's also in it too. I always forget he was in this movie. I always know him as the creepy dad from Ted, but he's actually in this movie, and he has some scenes where he gets pretty violent towards some Nazis, because let's just say Spielberg definitely, like what he did with Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, he definitely frickin' did not frickin' pull any punches. So yeah, and here's a few shots from the opening scene. So yeah, back to just overall, I guess this movie definitely has a lot technically that's real great too. This is unintentional, but one thing that this movie did, or it was around before but not used a lot, was handheld cam, where the camera used for shooting the scenes wasn't mounted to anything and it was handled by hand, hence called handheld cam. And now I guess you get to see some of my new posters, like Iron Man and Pulp Fiction to my left, so yeah. Anyway, that was also one thing. Definitely used real great. And though it did kind of pave the way for the shaky cam, quick cut bullshit from 2000s action movies, on the bright side, at least, that did eventually die out and Spielberg didn't overuse it. And gotta say too, I kind of like the overall stylistic choice of this movie, having it have that bleach bypass look that Spielberg would have in some of his subsequent movies like Minority Report. And I think he did in one of his other movies, War of the Worlds. That one had that style to it too. But it really works, I feel, the best in this movie. Something about how it was used here just really worked. But yeah, overall, gotta say too, even though this movie is almost 3 hours long, it's relatively well paced. I'll admit there are some of the scenes where they're trying to find Ryan that they might drag a bit, but they still hold your interest because the movie does do enough work to get you to care for all these characters. And let's just say the end scene where John Miller, after the final battle scene of trying to save Private Ryan because he doesn't want to leave, but he convinces him to, where he says something which some have interpreted as a message to future generations after World War II, where he says, "James, earn this. Earn it." His final words as he dies, because one little detail I noticed, the Nazi soldier that he let go, he let walk, rejoined his Nazis and shot Captain John Miller, and yeah, he regretted that decision. But I noticed too that a lot of the other soldiers that were there who were trapping him, because they only had like a certain amount of explosives to fight the Nazis here, and they weren't going to be able to get reinforcements because they were behind enemy lines. I noticed that he was all surrendering, putting his hands up, and he was like, "You know what? We made this mistake before. You're fucking dead." And just shot him like, "Goodbye. You're done." But yeah, gosh, it was definitely a freaking satisfying seeing that scum die. But yeah, Barry Pepper, solid as the sniper character he plays. Forget his name, escapes me at the moment, but he's real great. And Vin Diesel has a surprisingly nice moment too, even though his character does get killed off, and he does kind of die a slow, painful death because he like gets shot in an artery in like the arm or the leg, and he's slowly bleeding out, and you see him losing his mind because he's just rambling on. Yeah, gosh, it's just really quite intense. But yeah, overall, I definitely gotta say this was definitely one of Spielberg's best works. And something about, some film critics try to say that 80s Spielberg is peak Spielberg, but I gotta say 90s Spielberg, he still has some pretty solid movies. The only one that isn't like great among his really best works, in my opinion, is The Lost World, Jurassic Park. But not a horrible movie, it had a lot to live up to compared to Jurassic Park. But yeah, he had so many other great ones too, from Jurassic Park and Schindler's List, another World War II film. It's more about the Holocaust. I don't know if I'll ever review that movie though, because it's rough, and I don't know if I ever want to watch it again. It's one of those kind of movies you can't really watch more than once, kind of like Requiem for a Dream. Amistad is real great though. So yeah, some try to say 80s Spielberg's the best, even 70s, but all he really had in the 70s was Close Encounters of the Third Kind and Jaws. 80s Spielberg, I'll give it that he had the Indiana Jones trilogy and The Color Purple and Empire of the Sun. And a movie I think that's very underrated from that time period is Always. Really love that movie of his. So yeah, but he still had churned out some pretty solid films nonetheless. But yeah, anyway, definitely really enjoyed this, and Tom Hanks and Spielberg definitely work some magic well together, because he brings his Tom Hanks charm, and there are some scenes where this mission in the Toll of War gets to Captain John Miller, where you see him crying, and I've noticed one thing. Boy, you know shit has gotten serious if you see Tom Hanks crying. Kind of like in Forrest Gump and Castaway. But yeah, Matt Damon, for the relatively small role he played, was really good, especially considering that Spielberg wanted an unknown actor. And then Good Will Hunting came out right before this movie, so it kind of shot him up to major actor status, like A-list. So yeah, but for his small appearance, it was really great. So, and Matt Damon typically does deliver, and Martian is another one of his best movies I really love, which I may review one day because I read the book, and both the book and the movie are absolutely incredible. But back to Saving Private Ryan, just overall solid war film. I've yet to see one that's really topped it, in my opinion. Because I got to admit, I kind of like it when there are war films that balance developing the characters along with the action and the fight scenes and whatnot. I don't know, the battle scenes are cool and all, but I kind of like it when there's at least a few characters you can grasp on into, and I feel like this movie does it best. A close second has to be frickin' 1917 and Platoon and Full Metal Jacket. But yeah, as much as I like Black Hawk Down, gotta admit, I kind of noticed that movie's 95% just the battle scenes, 5% story characters, but this movie definitely has it with the story and the characters. And I guess on the historical part, I've noticed that this movie isn't exactly historically accurate like I used to think it was, but it is historically authentic, and it does have some accurate aspects, especially with the main mission being based on the whole lone sun policy. So there is that. But I have heard that the opening battle scenes and some of the subsequent ones were so accurate that some veterans were affected by it. So I guess Spielberg really captured the overall feeling of the moment, making it like we were on the battlefield too, which he definitely did. And so did McFrickin'. But yeah, and Dunkirk did a similar thing too with Christopher Nolan. But yeah, Spielberg definitely cemented himself as an auteur war film director with this movie, and he can really do it whether it's one like this that focuses on the combat angle or the other harsh aspects of war like Schindler's List. So yeah, I think that's all I'm going to say there on that movie. So I guess overall, gotta say, highly recommend this movie. If you haven't seen it, I'd recommend watching it, and definitely a solid film. Should have won Best Picture of the Year. It was up. Frickin' Harvey Weinstein, the absolute scum, and his frickin' illegal campaigning to get Shakespeare in Love to win. That was just stupid, but it is what it is, I guess. Spielberg did win Best Director, but he did direct one hell of a film. And yeah, overall, just definitely solid. And oh, one last aspect I want to highlight is the soundtrack by the legend himself, John Williams. Gotta admit, I used to think this was one of his weaker ones, but there is a particular theme that plays in the beginning and at certain points throughout the movie, and some other themes that accompany the battle scenes that definitely do add to the intensity, but the main one is called Hymn to the Fallen, and it is definitely a highlight of Williams' career, and he definitely brought his A-game to it, much like just about everyone on the production of this film. But yeah, frickin' just overall frickin' solid score. And guess all I got left to say is, if you haven't watched this movie, do yourself a favor and watch it. It's absolutely wonderful. You won't regret the 3 hours. It is the long film done right. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. Peace.